Chapter 1: The Man Who Ran for Money. This is not a story about a billionaire, not a Wall Street guy. This is a story about David Walker, a regular man with a regular life, but something was missing. David was 42. He lived in a small apartment on the south side of Chicago with his wife and two kids. Every morning he woke up at 5:30 a.m. No alarm needed, just stress. He would grab black coffee from the corner store and catch the number 9 bus downtown. David worked as a warehouse supervisor, $3,200 a month. Not bad, not great. Rent was $1,300. Car loan, $400. Gas, groceries, credit card bills. By the 20th of every month, he was broke. And by the end of the year, nothing saved. One cold November morning, David was riding the bus. Staring out the frosted window, he saw a group of college kids playing frisbee in the park. They were laughing carefree. He smiled, then the smile faded. When was the last time I laughed like that? He wondered. I do not even remember. The bus came to a hard stop. Someone cursed. David clutched his coffee, sighed, and looked down at his shoes. They were scuffed and old, just like him. I've been working for 20 years, he thought. Still paycheck to paycheck. Still stressed. What am I doing wrong? That evening, after another long shift, David stopped by a small diner he used to visit as a teenager. It was nearly empty, just one old man at the corner. The man looked about 80, with silver hair and a kind face. David sat beside him and said, half joking, let me ask you something, sir. You ever feel like money got you on a lash? The old man clutched, took a sip of black coffee, and replied, son, you're not alone. Most people spend their lives chasing money like it's the finish line. But here's the secret: money is not the goal, it's the vehicle. You just need never learn how to drive it. David stared at him quite. So, what am I supposed to do? You start by asking one question. The old man said, do you work for money or do you make money work for you? That night, David could not sleep. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, hearing these words again and again. Do you work for money or does money work for you? And that was the beginning of his journey to discover the untold truth about money. Chapter 2: The Lie They Never Taught Us in School. Some lies are not spoken, they are built into the system. And David was starting to see. He had been living one of them all his life. David could not stop thinking about what the old man said at the diner. Do you work for money or does money work for you? It haunted him. The next day at work, he looked around. The warehouse was full of people scanning boxes, driving forklifts, clocking in, clocking out. Everyone was tired. Everyone was counting hours, waiting for Friday. Everyone was working for money, but no one talked about how money actually works. That night, David sat down with his wife, Laura. She was folding laundry. The two kids were watching cartoons in the background. Did you ever learn about credit cards in high school? He asked suddenly. Laura looked up. No, why? What about taxes or how to budget or how to invest? She smiled sadly. Nope, they taught us the Pythagorean theorem. Still haven't used it. They both laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh. School taught David how to read, write, and pass tests, but it never taught him how to handle a paycheck, how to build wealth, how to avoid debt, or how to think independently. The next weekend, David went to the local library. He picked up a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. He had heard about it years ago, but never paid attention. As he read the first few pages, his eyes widened. The rich does not work for money, they make money work for them. He paused, closed the book, and whispered, "All my life I've been doing the opposite." He read on. The book explained things that sounded almost like secrets. The poor trade time for money. The middle class trade time for a salary and buy things they cannot afford. The rich buy assets, things that make money even when they sleep. David had never even heard the word assets used that way. He took notes like a college student. The next morning, he told his teenage son, "We are going to talk about money today." His son rolled his eyes. "Oh man, are we broke again?" David laughed. "No, kid, but I want to make sure you never feel like you're trapped by money ever." That sat on the porch. David talked about what he learned: savings, investments, side hustles, financial freedom. His son listened quietly and then said, "Why don't they teach us this in school?" David nodded slowly. "That's the real question, son. Maybe the system does not want you free, just busy, just tired, just obedient." That was the moment David realized something big. The system is not broke, it was built this way, built to create workers, not thinkers, employees, not entrepreneurs, customers, consumers, not creators. And for the first time in years, David felt angry, not at everyone in particular, but at the years he lost, simply because no one taught him how money truly works. Chapter 3: The Trap You Do Not See. It's easy to spoil a jail when it has bars and guards, but the worst prisoners are the ones they cannot see, and David had been living in one his whole life. After reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, David could not go back to normal. He started seeing money differently, not as paper, but as power, as freedom, or in his case, chains. He pulled out his credit card bill. It was over $4,600. Then his car loan, $14,000. Then the student loan he still has not finished paying off, $9,000. All this and only $600 in savings. David felt a lump in his throat. "This is the trap," he whispered. "I did not see it because everyone I know is in it too." This trap has a name: lifestyle inflation. When David got his first job at 22, he made $1,200 per month. He lived in a shared apartment, ate cheap meals, and did not owe a dollar. When he got promoted, he moved to a nicer place, bought a better car, took out a loan, then another and another. Now he made more money than ever, but he kept nothing. At lunch, David asked his coworker, Marcus, "You ever feel like no matter how much you earn, it's never enough?" Marcus clutched. "Man, I make 4,800 a month and I am still broke by the 21st. I just got a rise. It already feels like it disappeared." David nodded. "Same here. I think we are spending more because we make more." Isn't that what everyone does?" Marcus asked. "Exactly," David replied. "That's the problem. The world teaches you to celebrate new income by increasing your expenses. Buy the car, upgrade the phone, swipe the card, and suddenly you're not free. You're working to pay off things you do not even need anymore." That night, David sat with Laura again. They made a list: subscriptions they did not use, fast food spending, credit card interest, clothes they bought and never wore. It was over $1,200 a month wasted. Laura started at the numbers. "We could not have saved so much," she whispered. "We could have saved so much," she whispered. David took her hand. "We can still start." And just like that, they made a plan: cancel 5 unused subscriptions, sell the second car, and pay off the loan, cook at home 5 nights a week, save $200 a month minimum, learn more about investing. David wasn't rich yet, but he was no longer blind. He was breaking the trap step by step, because the first key to freedom is awareness. Chapter 4: The Wealth Game, and Why the Rules Are Hidden. If money is a game, then the rich are playing chess while the rest are playing checkers. Different rules, different results. David was not obsessed, not with earning money, not with earning more, but with learning more. He found YouTube channels, podcasts, and books. No Money, Wealth, Financial Freedom. Books on money, wealth, and financial freedom. That's when he discovered something strange. The wealthy talk about money very differently. They did not talk about salaries, they talked about assets, systems, leverage, and ownership. David paused one night while watching a video titled How the Rich Pay Less Taxes Than You. The host said wealthy people do not work harder, they build income streams, rental income, dividends, businesses, royalties. They let money come in without punching a clock. David whispered, passive income? We'd write it on a sticky note and stuck it to his fridge. Earn while you sleep. The wealthy know how to use system, but no one teaches them systems in public schools. And the reason might shock you. David read an article that made him sit in silence for a long time. It said the school system was created during the industrial age. It trained obedient workers, not free thinkers. Sit down, follow rules, don't question. It's not designed to teach wealth, it's designed to prepare you for a job. He looked at his son's school textbook. Nothing about taxes, nothing about budgeting, nothing about building wealth, just grades and memorization. The rules of the wealth game were never meant to be public, and unless you go looking for them, you'll spend your life working in a game you do not understand. Chapter 5: Breaking the Chains. David had a new goal: not to get rich quick, but to get free, slowly, steadily, on purpose. He started a side hustle on weekends, reselling used electronics online. Not glamorous, not fancy, but it bought in $300 to $400 extra a month. He and Laura stuck to their new plan. They saved, cut debt, built an emergency fund. After 9 months, they had $2,500 in savings, paid off the credit card, invested in the first low cost index fund, talked to their kids about budgeting. One night, David was watching TV. His son sat next to him and asked, Dad, are we still broke? David smiled. Nobody. We are not rich yet, but now we are in control. Wealth is not about a number, it's about freedom, the freedom to choose how you live. And David had finally taken the first step. Chapter 6: Real Freedom, Not Fake Rich. David began to see the difference between looking rich and being rich. He used to admire people with fancy cars, luxury clothes, and big houses. Now he looked at his debt and wondered how many of them are just one paycheck away from disaster. He realized something deep. We don't need more stuff. We need more peace, more time, more ownership, more choices. He met a couple at a seminar who lived in a small home, drove an old car, but had retired at 45. They had no boss, no debt. They spent their days gardening, reading, and helping others. David asked them how they did it. The man replied, we lived below our means, saved aggressively, invested wisely, and we never tried to impress anyone. David smiled. That's real wealth. The truth about money is not exciting. It's simple, but it's hidden behind years of noise, debt, and distraction. Chapter 7: The Legacy You Leave. 2 years had passed. David had no longer the man who ran for money. He was the man who worked with purpose. He had started teaching money basics at the local community center. free of charge. Single moms, teenagers, retired workers. They came to learn what no school ever taught them. One night, a 17-year-old boy raised his hand. Sir, what's the first step to getting rich? David smiled. Don't chase rich, chase understanding. Once you understand money, you will never fear it again. Money is not good or bad. It's a tool, a mirror, a test. And the way you use it reveals the kind of life you're building. Final message what David wants you to know. To every learner, every dreamer, every person watching, you were never meant to just work, pay bills, and die. You were meant to live free. But freedom does not come from a salary, it comes from knowing the truth about money, about yourself, and about the life you wanted to build. Thank you.